definitely, most definitely.
All right, cool.
Okay.
It's okay. Can you please introduce yourself to those who don't know you?
Okay, I am Dr. N Setlaba. I am a psychiatrist. I'm a psychiatrist both in public sector and private sector. So I'm full-time employed. I'm full-time employed in public sector. Then I have my own private practice as a part-time. And then I'm also I'm a senior lecturer at the University of the Free State.
Yes.
I am the chairperson of the South African Society of Psychiatrists in the Free State. What else do I do? I'm also the chairperson of the adjudication panel that decides on the licensing of NGOs for mental health care users. So I'm dabbling in quite a few things.
We are led.
I'm a public speaker. My focus mostly is on youth empowerment and mental health awareness.
Yes.
Wow. So that's really what I do.
Quite a lot.
Luckily, everything is related. So keeps me busy, but it keeps me busy with the same thing. So it's okay.
Yes.
So,
sorry?
Thank you for having me.
No, thank you for joining us. We really, really appreciate your time. We know that you're busy. And by your intro, it's clearly you've got a lot on your plate. And thank you for making
That's
time.
True. No, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Okay, I'm not going to talk about the article yet, which is, I think, is mind-blowing and very informative. And congratulations on that. So on that, you actually have a title which says, there's no health without mental health. Do you mind to explain to us what does that mean?
That is a saying or a slogan that a lot of that we mental health care practitioners like using a lot. Basically, what we mean is if your mental health is not at 90-100%, then basically you can't be healthy. I mean, if your mindset is not aligned with what you need to do, sometimes you feel like, you know what, it's not even worth it. You start feeling ill, you start feeling sick, you feel you can't do anything anymore because your mindset on its own is ill in some or other way. So that is why we always say, I mean, if you feel good, then you do good. So mental health is about feeling good and feeling at your best.
So basically, this is something that can affect like a student or someone who's in corporate. If they're not really up to optimum level, mind-wise, they can literally, it can affect their productivity, right?
Oh, most definitely. Yes, it can do that. Because remember, I always say the mind is the control center of everything that we do. It controls when you're hungry. It controls who you love. It controls when you need to go to the bathroom. Controls when you sleep or when you wake up. So imagine if your control center is ill, then how are you going to be able to function?
No, I hear you. Again, congratulations on your article. Like I said, it's very informative. I read it and I got a lot of things. But then there's one particular thing that really touched me. You spoke about receiving a call from your brother who had attempted suicide. And I think the following week after that, there was a friend as well who actually succeeded in committing suicide. So, I mean, is this something that can be prevented? And how do we go about preventing like suicide?
Wow. If you check my article, in the intro, I said that's when I felt the most powerless because I'm a psychiatrist. I'm supposed to be able to prevent that. So now it hit very close to home with my brother and then with a friend of mine. So at times, yes, we can prevent suicide. We can by being there for the person, being supportive of the person, not being intrusive. As I said, remember I gave the tips in the column on the side. Not being intrusive, being empathic towards the person, not being judgmental. and just being understanding. And please stop telling people, no man, look on the brighter side of life. They don't see the brighter side of life. So all you just need to sit there and be there for them. Sometimes we can do everything in our power, including us, the psychiatrists, including the psychologists, social workers, parents, partners, wives, husbands, you can do everything in your power. But sometimes once a person has made up their mind that they're going to commit suicide, there's nothing you can do about it. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Someone, Tembelani, I am Tembelani Lifoto. He just asked, how do we get hold of the article?
Okay, so I'm one of the things I do. I'm a contributor to Ignited Women, the women's magazine. It's an online magazine in Joburg today. So basically the article is in the magazine. So you just buy the magazine on the website, which is ignitedwomen.co.za. Then you just buy the issue of the magazine there. So the first article I did with them was that one of There's No Health Without Mental Health. My next article was depression. I was going to move on to bipolar. I actually laughed when Riso mentioned bipolar. I was going to move on to bipolar, and then the suicide happened in my close relatives. So I decided to go for suicide. Now I'm busy writing an article on bipolar for the next issue of the magazine.
Okay, someone just asked us now. It's not really a question. I think it's a statement. They say yes, depression is not a mood. It's not a bad mood. So
that's true.
How do we then identify someone who's like really sad, or how do we separate from someone who's just sad and someone who's probably depressed? Are there like symptoms that we might need to look for, stuff like that?
Yes. Well, when you're sad, your mood is reacting to a certain stimulus. You sad because of something like this. And a lot of the times, if that's something that made you sad is taken away, your mood improves. Or if someone does something to cheer you up, your mood improves. That is the way sadness is. However, when it comes to feeling depressed, the emotion is much deeper than that. It involves an actual chemical imbalance, is a hormonal imbalance in your brain, in your body, that's causing you to feel like that. The feeling is much deeper than that, and you feel it most of the day, almost every day. And it doesn't react to anything. It doesn't react to people coming to cheer you up or anything like that. It doesn't react to that. Last week I was doing a broadcast. I had a Zoom meeting with people from Tirana's Apostolic Church, and one of the spiritual counselors said, think of a person who's got depression as someone who's sitting in a very dark room. So when you have depression, it is like waking up at midnight and it's dark and there is no light. Absolutely. That horrible feeling that we feel at 12 o'clock at night, that is what depression feels like, but that's how you are every day, unfortunately. Yeah.
So it's not something that one can just easily snap out of it.
Oh no! Oh, that I dislike those. I have a strong. I don't hate things. I have a strong dislike for. Ahmed, come on, get over it. Or Ahmed, come on, snap out of it. How can you? You've got so much going on for you. So those are the kind of things that we should not even be saying to people that have major depressive disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No. And my next question is actually linked to the one we just had now. So basically, depression is not something that you can just snap out of it. And it looks like depression is not discriminating, right? It can affect rich as much as it can affect poor people. So my next question is depression the main reason why most people commit suicide?
That is That's an interesting question, actually. Depression, yes, might be one of the leading reasons. However, as I said in the article, it can be a response to a life stressor. Some people that it can also be, so it can be seen in the context of a mental disorder, such as depression or schizophrenia, or substance abuse. Substance abuse is also a mental illness, or it can be as a response to a life stressor of some sort. Somebody, for instance, who loses everything during COVID-19. You lose absolutely everything. Your business just is gone. You don't have money anymore. You can't support your family anymore. You don't see a way out. And without even having a depressed mood and things, just because of the stresses of life, you don't see yourself moving forward. So then you try and commit suicide. And then you get people that have schizophrenia that hear the voices. Some will say, the voices told me to jump off a bridge. The voices told me I need to kill myself. The voices said, if I don't kill myself, they are going to come and kill me. So sometimes it is in that context as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a very sad and lonely journey. And I mean, through the foundation, I've been getting a lot of people that are actually afraid to admit that they are suffering from any form of mental illness. But I think what I'm also getting from the conversation that we are having with them is that there's a lot of stigma attached to mental illness. I mean, like there's like probably 101 factors that are leading to the stigma around mental illness. So I know some of them, they probably want to come forward and find help, and with people like you that are available to them. But how do we then fight the whole stigma that is attached? Do you think that it's the fear of the unknown from the general public, or it's just plain ignorance?
I always say when I do mental health awareness, my focus is destigmatization and mental health promotion. So basically, the fight of the stigma that's attached to mental illness is a fight that has been there for years. It's a fight that's still continuing now, and it's a fight that I'm afraid will still be there for many years to come.
Yes.
The stigma comes from other healthcare professionals. Stigma comes from the community. And what I saw yesterday in my practice when I saw a patient, stigma coming from the patient herself. She was stigmatizing herself, discriminating, treating herself with prejudice because she's got a mental illness. Unfortunately, Bongs, it's something that we're fighting, but it's just not, we're not winning when it comes to stigma. But at the end of the day, I think it's because of not ignorance, maybe misunderstanding the illness, not knowing the illness, and maybe not showing interest in the illness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what we've been trying to do via the foundation is basically try and speak more about it, like encouraging people to speak up, even if probably they might not be in this good space. Just share how you feel, because I think another reason why there's so much stigma around mental health is because most people, they just feel like, okay, I'll deal with this on my own. But then on your own, with less information, it's not going to help you or the next person. But you sharing your story with the next person might actually, they might find that, oh, actually, I'm not alone. There's someone like me out there. There's someone probably who actually feel and understand how I'm feeling. So that's what we've been trying to drive through the foundation as well. And most people are actually coming out slowly. And we hope, I know it's probably going to take a while. I mean, when Christianity came into place, people died trying to protect what they believed in. And then there was AIDS and HIV. People lost their jobs and got displaced because there was discrimination around that. And we find the same issues arising around mental health. Other people are losing their jobs, like the lady that you just spoke about, who was actually stigmatizing herself. It's what probably she's been told over and over again. You are nothing, you're not going to match up to whatever. And all those things, other people, they just use it as a defense mechanism, because they actually say, if I say it first, then it's not going to hurt me if it's coming from the next person. But that's not going to help. At least let's try and own up to what we're going through and try and help others who are suffering out there. Oh, sorry to take long, but then there's someone who just asked the question now. Is suicide hereditary, something that we can actually get from our parents, maybe let's say genetic wise? And are there any form of level or degrees to depression, like mild, severe, to stuff like that?
Yes. Okay. Heredity. Okay. When it comes for any disorder of the mind, any mental illness, the causes are we call biopsychosocial. So there's biological causes, psychological causes, social causes. So when it comes to suicide as well, we need to look at suicide from a biopsychosocial model. Using biopsychosocial model is a nice summarized way of describing mental illnesses. So biologically, if we look at suicide biologically, we look at one factor, genetics. Yes, if there was a history of suicide in your family, then there is a higher risk that you might commit suicide. If the suicide in the family was because of a mental illness, then it means you are also predisposed to having a mental illness, and then you are also predisposed to the suicide which had happened in your family before. Psychological stressors. Many years ago, I think I was in primary school, there was a gentleman who returned from the Congo or Burundi after being deployed. He committed suicide by hanging himself. After hanging himself, apparently it was financial stressors. His son, who was in school with me, was about 7 years old, 8, 9 years old, did exactly the same thing because of the same stress in the family. So this was psychological stressors. So then when it comes to social stressors as well, I mean, if there is violence in the family, your father's beating your mother and then your mom commits suicide, then you might also feel, you know what, this is the way out, so this is what I'm going to do. So we look at it from a biopsychosocial model. We can't just say, just because your dad committed suicide 10 years ago, now you're also going to commit suicide in 10 years. There's a lot of confounding factors that we need to look at as well. And the other question was the degree of depression. Yes. We've got mild, moderate, severe. Then we've got your mild to moderate, moderate to severe. So yes, we do have the different degrees of depression. There's scales that we use to measure that, yes.
Okay. Like the story that you just told now, it just really touched me. The father and the son doing the same thing because of the financial constraint that they were actually having at home. So would you then say suicide, is it a cry for help or is just an escape for many?
What I have seen, I've seen both. I've seen both. And then both of them were labeled as attention seeking. You don't seek attention by trying to take your own life. As I said, I mean, as people, what we do on a daily basis is to live and survive. We strive to survive. So if that is gone within you, then it means something inside of you must have broken. So yes, for some people it is an escape, in the sense, especially for people with depression or people with schizophrenia that are hearing voices. They feel there is no cure for the depression, that there is absolutely nothing that will make them feel better than they are right now. So what they do is they feel it's better that they end their own lives. Usually when I ask them, what about your children? What about your wife? What about your husband? Then they usually would cry and say, doctor, those people would be better off without me. Because one of the signs of depression is feelings of worthlessness, and they feel guilty. They feel this inappropriate guilt about being ill, about not being able to provide. They feel guilty, excessive guilt about their mother who died 5 years ago, that they didn't respect their mother who died 5 years ago. So all of these things are there. They're part of they're part of the suicide that the people might present with. And then people with schizophrenia, for instance, might decide, you know what, I can't take these voices anymore. I need to jump off a bridge. Then they jump or they shoot themselves. So, and then those that are crying for help is people that have been saying, I'm not okay. I'm not well. Please assist me. and everybody's like, Ahman, get over it, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Snap out of it. Why are you depressed? You drive such a nice car. Why are you depressed? You're a doctor, you earn so much money. Those are the kind of people that end up doing that.
Okay, someone just asked us now, is schizophrenia a result of mental illness?
Schizophrenia is mental illness. Let me read. Bongs, you skipped my question. I had a nephew that was diagnosed with schizophrenia last year. We thought that was caused by reading. Is schizophrenia a result of mental illness? Schizophrenia is mental illness. Let me just touch on this briefly. Kagiso did as well earlier, and I did this earlier on my radio interview in the day. Mental illnesses essentially can be, let's divide them into two major groups. It's your common mental disorders and your serious mental disorders. So your common mental disorders then are the ones that mostly affect your emotions. So these are the ones that you will be able to see within yourself that you know what, something is not right.